Yo, what's going on, everybody? Go ahead and give us a mic check and let us know if you can see the screen and hear us okay. You should be able to see us this time too.
Yep. Let us know if you
What's
can see
going
me,
on? What's
guys.
going on? Sound is good. Yeah, let us know how the sound is.
Yeah.
I'm like in a I'm like in an office park. All
In
right. Yeah. I'm in Puerto Rico, folks. You can see my view here. Great fucking time.
That's what's up. That's legit, man. That is legit. I'm in New York City. We don't have views like that right now. Not
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get into that. Both of us are moving, by the way. Chris is saying East or West Coast PR. This is what? No. This is San Juan. This is San Juan. So I'm like in the middle, I guess. I'm in the middle. I hear the West Coast though is the best coast of PR. I haven't been over there yet. I gotta go. So I gotta go. I gotta go check it out. All right, we'll get started in a minute here. Let some folks trickle in. The
So,
best surf is in Rincon, right? I don't surf, bro. That shit is weird, bro. However, no, I could give it a try. I'm sure if I gave it a try, I would like it. I'm sure. But I've never skied or snowboarded either, Charlie, And meanwhile, Charlie over here is like a freaking expert.
I mean, that's what happens when you grow up with the mountains in your backyard, man. That's what,
Right. Exactly.
not like you had an
Exactly.
abundance of surfing opportunities growing up in suburbs of Boston, right? So,
Yeah. I mean, the best beach you have, like there's rocks all like you can't do shit in there. You have to travel like at least 2 hours. But even for you too, right? To ski, you have to drive 2 hours, right?
you can get to like some shitty places in like 45 minutes to Denver, but the really good places are like hour and a half, 2 hours.
Right. But the other thing is like everybody does it, right? Like in Boston, I mean, it depends on what circles you're rolling around, I guess.
Right. No, man, everybody doesn't know that. It's just like this is how it. That's how like all my friends would, spend our weekends. That's how we bonded. I
Right.
mean, it was sport.
Right. Exactly. All right,
Yeah,
you want to get cracking? I'll leave it to you, bro.
yeah. Do you want to record? Make sure we got this thing.
Yeah, I mean it's already starting from my end, so I don't know, but you record too. Fuck it.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, yeah, we just had a couple more people join in, so welcome everybody who's hopping in here with us now. We're opening up a little bit more, right? I mean, a lot of times you guys are used to us breaking down some a specific tactic about trading, something that's a little bit more on the pragmatic side of things. And this is about trading psychology. This is about the stuff that Lucci and I riff about nonstop all the time. A lot of times not in front of you guys, but this is the way we're both wired. We both have a predisposition to be obsessed with this because we're both nuts and because we both know how important this stuff is. And yeah, so today is all about the concept of expectations. What are the expectations that you are bringing to your trading? How are those expectations potentially screwing up your trading or influencing your trading, your mental process as you step in and face the markets every single day. So, yeah, I mean, Luke, before we dive in too far, you want to give a quick update on that Microsoft position? We're going to be doing a dedicated webinar on it next week, but just
Oh
give
yeah, yeah. So I had you guys can see my screen, right?
yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so I had this Microsoft. I mean, I had some swing positions here on Microsoft and like a lot of other stuff. As you guys know, like, the market just broke out. We were in a range for a while on the indexes, and you can see like most large cap stocks, they pretty much look like this, where, things just weren't going anywhere for a while. So Microsoft, like, there was a lot of flow that came into Microsoft too. So anybody who's in the steam room or if you watch options flow, there was a lot of people that were buying Microsoft like 100 Junes, 100 Julys, 100 out to August and everything. But the timing is everything. Obviously, the timing is everything, especially when you're swing trading. You want to be able to time your moves like with the market. So if you look at the market too, like we just had this huge chop. We shook everybody out here. It looked like we were going to tank right here, but for some reason they were like holding up tech. and Microsoft was one of the ones that was like, being really, really, really held up. So that was the one. Like during these couple of days right here, I started, picking up a good amount of Microsoft and a couple other names as well. So I think I was able to get Microsoft like under 98, 98, 98 and a half, like somewhere around here. And then I just started buying a shit ton. And the market was still like, it wasn't like guaranteed that we were going to break 274 on the SPY and keep going. But once we did, things really got juicy here on the Microsoft. And I started to even move into the weeklies, the June monthlies too. I had like 6 different strikes. So what you're seeing here is like the tail end of it. I booked this whole position today. This was the 100 July calls, and I had like 280 of those. So all I have left now is the 105s here for July, and I'll probably just keep buying into this or just keep rolling into this anytime I get a dip. So all in all, like there were several hundreds of thousands that were made here on my behalf. So it was a pretty good trade. It was a pretty good trade. Now I missed a lot of activity, a lot of other activity. And so for this particular swing trade, I literally just focused on one name or a couple names. I wasn't out there trading aggressively everything else, although, everything else was moving oftentimes even better than this Amazon. If you guys took a look at the BABA for the last couple of days, you can look at this Amazon, so there was a lot of things for the past couple of days that you really could have gotten behind and helped. This is those 1 out of 10 times where holding a weekly option here on the right side, you continue to get paid. So it was good. It was good. It took some time. But things worked out pretty well.
Word. Yeah. So guys, we're going to be doing a more in-depth kind of breakdown of that whole trade, how Lucci legged into it, how he of it, just every single kind of specific of what you guys want to know, what it takes to pull off a trade in the tune of, around $250,000, $300,000 in gains. So we're going to be doing that Tuesday next week. But keep your eyes on Twitter, keep your eyes on email. We'll let you know once it goes out. Instagram too. Yeah. So with that kind of like as a jumping off point, to talk about expectations, right, Luch? You are someone who's been you've been through the ringer with the markets, like just like any veteran trader has, right? You've had your ups and downs, and you've learned by making every mistake, right? And I mean, especially someone like you who's hit some of those highs that a lot of traders, only about 1% ever get to, right? Of seeing a 6-figure P&L, right? I think you've been down the road of getting to the point where you feel like you deserve success, right? Success is something that's owed to you. And I've talked in the past about how that influence you and fuck you up. So how has that? Do you have memories of recent trades where you've sat down and you've just gotten lured in by like that sort of deserving mentality, or like even from when you were?
As far as recent trades, sometimes, especially like when you come off a win, anytime you come off a really big win, you come back into the markets and you pay attention a little bit less to the signs because, again, you got some more capital behind you. You got, you have this sort of feeling of confidence that, you'll just kind of throw money at something without even really paying attention to it, without really paying attention to the fact that, okay, maybe the market's ready to turn and maybe the juice is not there anymore. And you'll just kind of keep tossing money at it just because you have more of it. And it's like, okay, I'll continue to average down. At some point, I'll get out of this. But it's almost like you care less about the process of trading when you have that deserving sort of feeling. And I usually get most deserving after a big win, or after a big win streak or something like that. I get like that quite often. Definitely.
Right. And so that's like in line with this bigger concept that we talk about a good bit, which is like that your emotional state, that the way that what you're experiencing outside of the markets, who you are, what you're bringing in, what's going on in your head in your personal life, people all the time bring that in when they're sitting down in front of the markets, and they think that, and a lot of times it's not even conscious, right? But they think to themselves, the market is somehow gonna respond to this and sync up with my state, and react to it. And I think one of the things that we see all the time is that, especially for newer guys, is that they don't realize what they want the market to do for them, what they're expecting the market to do, right? And so, like you and I talk about, like we use the analogy all the time, like you get in a fight with your girl the night before, right? And you wake up in the morning and you have that like sort of, sometimes maybe it's a self-esteem thing, maybe it's like an anger thing, maybe it's a insecurity, whatever it is. You are looking to the market a lot of times, not even consciously, but you're expecting the market to like fill in that hole, fill in that gap.
One of the worst things I've done myself, and I've seen others do, is that if you see money being made in front of you, and you give yourself that sort of coulda, woulda, shoulda speech kind of thing, you start attacking something like it's going to pay you, just like whatever you missed. So let's say we again, market just broke out. Amazon rallied 50 points. Netflix rallied 20 fucking points. Google went 40 points. And if you saw the potential for gains right there, and let's say you missed it, that's one of the worst things that I've seen. Then you'll come in the next day being like, all right, something that hasn't put out that much gains, I'm going to try to get it out of it, and whatever you see is not good enough. You know what I'm saying? So even if you make 20%, or even if you're up 30% or something, you're attached to the 400% gains. You're attached to the 200% gains. So you'll look at the P&L and you'll be like, it's not enough. It's not enough. I saw somebody else make 300% the other day. I saw somebody else, I saw NVIDIA make, all these huge gains. And you come into the market expecting to see that, and you just don't book anything, or you're just not looking at the same signs as you would if you came into the market with a clear head and everything. Because if you came into the market with a clear head, you would see things like, okay, the market is not offering that opportunity up right today, so why the fuck am I pressing this button right now? Like, why? You would notice that, and then you would make the right decision, being like, all right, I'm not gonna get a lot of profit today, whatever the case is, and you would pull back, you would scale back, and you would make the right decision given what you're seeing. If your mind is clouded with all this stuff, whatever you're seeing is not what you're processing. It's not, you're seeing it with already this sort of bias, or already this cloudy vision, where you're seeing what you want to see. You're seeing what you want to see, and if you don't see it, it's not good enough, and it's just a snowball effect of bad decisions. That's what I've seen the most. I've seen the most, and I've experienced the most too. It sucks to not be involved in a 200% gain where it's a name that you've been watching. Like, it sucks to watch a stock like for me, like I watch Amazon all fucking day. This is all I do all fucking day. And I'll pick one of these things or pick two of these things. And if I miss it, like it sucks. The feeling sucks. And you want to come back and, do it to something else. But once you miss that move, there's a whole process that you have to go through to look at the market and be like, okay, where are we now? And where can we go now? And what's happening now? And you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about what could have been. And you're bringing that to a market that doesn't give a shit about what the fuck you think.
Right. And that's what, when you go back to, talking about like, that sucks, that feeling sucks, I missed out on it, that feeling sucks. Like, that is so often what we bring to the table when it comes to our expectations. And
yes,
we're expecting the market, we're expecting our participation in the market, in our trading, to make that feeling of this sucks go away, right? That's what we're expecting of the market to take care of, right? And so when we start bringing those issues, those problems from our life, because like you said, the market doesn't give a shit. The market is completely objective, irrelevant. Like, it does not care at all about what's going on with you personally, right? But and a lot of times this is what delineates subconscious versus conscious, right? I think a lot of times, especially the newer guys, they don't have as much self-awareness in terms of what's driving their behavior. When they sit down, they don't have a process, they don't have a routine for checking in with themselves and assessing, like, what am I bringing to the table this morning, right now?
Right, right. Or they don't even trust, the instincts. Like even if the instinct tells you, hey, I'm kind of fucked up right now, maybe I shouldn't trade. You won't listen to that instinct because of whatever bullshit because of that expectation. You won't listen to the instinct because of whatever expectation you're bringing into the game. How many of you guys automatically know, or just by feel, if you're going to, if the market is going to make a move today or not, but you've avoided it completely and you ended up over trading and ended up all this kind of stuff. I mean, we've all done that. Go ahead and shout out if you've been there, and then some of the other expectations you guys bring to the market. But yeah, 100%. There's so many people, even myself included, of course, that I know something like, dude, I'm in PR right now. Like, I am in Puerto Rico right now. What the fuck should I be doing? Putting on $1 million freaking position and not fucking watching the thing. Have I done that? Yeah, I've done shit like that where I'm on a fucking plane and I have size out there that I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, doing shit like that is always driven by something that is just, you're just so out of pocket and you don't care, and you're just kind of throwing it out there and hoping for the best or whatever the case is. Those are not ideal situations, just putting yourself in these situations. You know what I mean? So I knew I was coming down here, and I mentally I checked myself, every single day. I was just like, I could buy a whole basket of shit. I could put another $250,000 in a bunch of other stuff. And granted, yes, okay, I've been right on a couple of these things or whatever, but I just didn't have the mental capacity to handle that many positions and look at all this stuff while being over here, taking meetings, talking to fucking lawyers, having to take an Uber over here or whatever. Like, that shit is a horrible place to be in. And I've done that so many times where you're just, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you just take a 20K loss willingly just because you have to hop in a cab and go to a fucking, and go somewhere else? Like, I've done that. And that shit is the worst feeling after it's said and done. You look at yourself and you're like, what the fuck did I do that for? And it seems so clear. Like, all I had to do was delay that meeting, or all I had to do was just call them up and be like, no, but we'll do it. We'll do it, because it's like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. And you think you can manage all this shit, but you fucking cannot. You fucking cannot.
Well, and I think like what you just touched on is that you've learned that two things really need to dictate like what you're doing with the markets and how you're reacting to them and how you're engaging with them. One is where you're at personally, right? And even if there are incredible moves going off, if you're, focused on other things and all over the place, that it's the wrong time to get to the trade. And two is just, most importantly, the market activity, right? What is the market dictating to you, the opportunities in front of you? And something that you and I have talked about all the time, and this is probably the number one thing that we see guys in the course and guys in the steam room struggle with, and that we have to sort of deprogram that from, is that idea of I have to make a certain amount every day or every month, or having that expectation of this is the P&L that I should be hitting on a whatever interval, so that I can. And a lot of times that's guys who are saying, well, I quit my job, and so now I need to, make $500 a day in order to pay my bills or whatever it is. And the result for that is almost always focusing on your P&L, right? Having your P&L up on your screen all the time, because that you're not being driven by. We always talk about performance goals and outcome goals, right? You're being driven by your outcome, the outcome that you're desiring, your P&L on a daily basis or a weekly basis, right? You're not being driven by your performance goals, which are, how can I look for this specific type of move today? How can I be open to this kind of opportunity and read the tape on this name today? So,
right. Yeah. Right. I mean, most people are driven by the outcome goals. I mean, I was when I first started. And one of the things that I realized, but it took me a year and a half to realize, was that the money does not matter. I realized that if I'm doing the right things, AKA I'm coming in the morning, I'm spending time prepping on what I need to prep on. And this was when I was like scalping and I needed to look at like 2,000 fucking names, which I've since completely stopped doing. But like, as long as I'm looking at the tape, I'm reacting to what I need to. If the reason I got into it wasn't happening anymore on the tape, then that's it. You get the fuck out. That's it. And as long as I did those things, my P&L would be green. My P&L would be green. I knew my P&L was going to be green, and I knew I could cover whatever the hell losses that I took. I knew that in my head, and I was like, oh, fucking finally. It's
Right.
not a, even though you know you can make $500 a day, it doesn't mean that that's how the game works. You know what I'm saying? Because number one, if you know you can make $500 a day, you think you're just gonna do that for a fucking year or 2 years? You think you are? Like, you're a human being. If you know you can make 500 a day, you're gonna want to make $1,000. You're gonna want to make 2,000. You're gonna want to make all this stuff, and then the expectation monster comes right in, and then gobbles up your motherfucking dreams here, because now you are thinking about the outcomes. You're thinking about the P&L. You're thinking about what life you could have if you're making X, Y, and Z. Like, how many of you guys have done that shit? You'll think in advance of what life you should have or what life you deserve, and then you dump it on the market and say, okay, market, give me this fucking life, right? Some of us, like, I even remember a time where I was already living a life in my head, but I didn't have the life in reality. But I was like, okay, the market is going to give me this life. And then when I got the money to live that life, the life that I was dreaming about the whole time, it wasn't shit. It wasn't anything. I wasn't even happy with that fucking life. So then it just became, okay, it just went to the next thing. It went to the next thing. It went to the next thing, and then all of a sudden you realize, like, any cash that you make, you're not even making the right decision. So you know what it was for me, and again, like, we'll probably talk about this in a few. Mine was, I always knew how to make the money. I didn't have any plans of what to do with the fucking money when I made it. You know what I'm saying? I had no plan. I had zero plan for it. So that's now, like, where I'm at. Now it's like, okay, now when I make 300,000, there's already a plan in place for that money. It's like, okay, cash 100 out, go buy this property here, or go do this thing, or whatever. That's where I'm at. That's the maturity of it. For me, before, I knew, like, how to make the money. I knew where to put myself to make the money. I knew what mentality I needed to have to make the money. And as long as I had that mentality, I knew the money was there. But I had zero plan for what to do when I got it. And then the expectation was always just make more, just make more, just make more. And to one of your points earlier about the expectation and things like that, was that, like, or if you don't have the right mindset. I've been in a mind state, a shitty mind state, and Charlie has seen me, by the way, in this mind state many a times, where it doesn't even matter if the market is doing what you needed to do, you're still gonna take a fucking loss. How many of you guys are in such a bad mind state sometimes that your traditional setups, your whatever it is that you're used to making money in, you can't even make money in, and every trade here you make is a fucking loser? That's just because, like, your mind is just not in the right place. The market is offering up all this opportunity every single day. So as long as you have a clear mindset and you're looking at the tape and all that kind of stuff, you should be making money. I've been in such a fucked up mental state where I'm dealing with stuff in the past, I'm dealing with bad decisions here and there, I feel just depressed, I feel like a shitty human being. And even an easy slam dunk fucking trade, I'll still fuck it up and lose money.
Right.
That's where, if you're there, or even if you're not there or whatever, there's always the fear that you can end up in this place. We've all been in this place, and the question is what are the things that you need to do to try to keep yourself out of it, or even if you're in it, avoid certain things, and this is all just being aware of where your mentality is at. And I truly believe it's experience, man. I mean, I've been at this game now for what? When did we start this shit? 2006, 2007. That's like a little over 10 years. So that's not even a lot of time. You know what I mean? And the other thing was too, Charlie, is that, like, I'll meet a lot of traders that have been in the game for like 30 years or 40 years. I used to look at these guys and be like, yo, why the fuck do you want to be a trader for 30, 40 years? So I was always looking at it in the beginning like, yo, I'm going to do this shit for 5 years, 6 years, and I'm going to make this money, and I'm going to go do other stuff. But I never had a plan for what to do with that money. I was just being a dickhead spending money.
Right.
Now that I look at it and I'm like, dude, I'm basically like a rookie, 10 years or 11 years. If you give me 30 years in the market, $2 million is nothing. $5 million is nothing. 10 million, this shit is nothing, bro.
And
So
that's
yeah,
another thing I don't think people realize when they start really focusing in on the expectations of this is what my P&L needs to be on a daily basis, because you think your expectation is, okay, I'm going to make $1,000 a day, right? In reality, if you were actually just letting, kind of going back to this performance goal versus outcome goal thing, if you're just focusing on what you need to do in order to make money, your average day could actually be $5,000 a day. It could be 10
yeah,
grand. Like you are
exactly.
sabotaging yourself so much. It might actually be zero for 10 days straight. Like you might not actually be supposed to be trading at all. But there's guys in the room, like obviously you and Jesus are really good at this, but like I think Silverfin is really good at this. Ronchero is really good at it. Just letting, like not having an expectation, not putting a label on the trade and being like, this trade needs to be of XYZ size. It's just listening and watching the market, and having confidence in the skill sets that you've got, whether it's tape reading or watching the flow or your understanding of options, all the stuff, we teach in the master course, like, letting those things dictate what the trade outcome is going to be and focusing on what you can do, right? And sometimes those trades, like I've seen Silverfin get into positions where I know, in talking to him, he has no idea what the outcome could be, right? But it starts out small, but he lets his runners run and he gets like 10x on these things.
I'll never get I will never get like 10x or like I'll never be that guy. I will never be that guy. I'm the guy that sizes up and looks for the double or looks for the triple, but can I do it with size? That's the only thing I'm concerned about. But there's guys in the room. There's guys in the room that will play smaller position sizes and they'll spread out over like 10 or 20 names and they'll snipe in at the right moments because again we're all looking at the same levels. It's like, oh, my option gets cheaper or whatever, and again this is all technical shit that you guys can get from us at a later time, but there's guys who can do that and they'll just put like a 10 lot, 20 lot, 25 lot or whatever, and they'll spread out over all these names and they'll fucking destroy this stuff for like 10x, 5x or whatever. And those are great strategies. Those are great strategies because when you go into a position with that small size, if it goes to zero, fine, that's it. Fuck it, it ain't gonna kill you. But when you get, especially when you're in a market like this, you'll get to periods where you're just hitting them, 10 out of fucking 10, and then this will be most of the gains that you make for a good period of time. So 100%. Once the attachment to where these things are going and how much I could get off them and all that kind of stuff, once that attachment disappears from your trading equation, that's when things will start making sense to you. Like, oh, this is what I need to do to build my account. Oh, this is what I need to do to get to, the places that I want to get to.
Because you've cleared up that mental space to actually look at and study the markets and sort of absorb everything that's happening, right? You're not your perception isn't so clouded and so monopolized by what the emotional baggage you're bringing to the table and your expectations there. Ranchero, man, I'm in a co-working space, man. I'm in a phone booth. So, yeah, I'd be at a seedy place in Midtown, but, for now, I'm doing clean. So, yeah, I mean, and we're going to get into a couple of things that are specifics of what you can do to manage manage this kind of situation and these pitfalls. I mean, another thing that you and I have talked about a lot is, the impact of expectations. When you have these expectations and things don't go your way, what is your life like outside of trading when that doesn't happen for you, right? You're setting yourself up for self-sabotage when you wake up in the morning, you're like, my expectation is I'm going to make 10 grand this morning, right? You go out and maybe the market dictates to you that your P&L is supposed to be 5, right? You make 5, and you thought you were supposed to make 10. Now you're a piece of shit, and you feel like shit. And instead of doing what you need to do to feel good and feel healthy, which is, some guys in the chat right now are talking about meditation. We're talking about like exercise, going out with friends, like all the stuff to keep you balanced. Now you're locking yourself away. You're avoiding friends. You're eating like shit. Like you're robbing yourself of that sense of balance. So, I mean, what speak to that a little bit. Your experience, not that you have any experience with this at all.
I would say, yeah. I mean, when I'm in a bad mood, or just like you said, like a loss hits my soul, man. You know what I'm saying? Like it hits my soul to the point where even my bodily processes, like they just change. My daily processes just change. And because all of a sudden I become, this different person that doesn't want to deal with some of the issues that I'm having at the moment. It's just like you kind of want to separate yourself from that whole feeling. And then in doing so, you just want to go to something that just gives you comfort. Like, how many of you guys, like, what do you guys flock to when you've taken a bad loss, or you're like a little down on yourself or a little depressed about the market? Yo, Charlie, man, every time I ask this question in any fucking webinar, there is always somebody who says porn, and that's such an interesting thing. And bro, like, we got to do a webinar like on just that in and of itself. I mean, think about it, right? Like, we're talking about what do you need to do, right, to get it out of your system, or to get the loss, like just to kind of forget about it. And sometimes it's so hard to just forget about this stuff. You just end up in these pits that you just can't get out of, because it's all about that what is the word I'm looking for? That that self-hate, that self-hatred. You just continue to do it. You continue to do it. You continue to do it. And I'm like throwing this stuff on Instagram too at the same time. For me, like, I go eat. I go eat horrible food. I don't go to the gym. My conversations with other people too are noticeably different. I'll say that too. Noticeably different. I'm like different around my daughter too sometimes. Like, if I pick her up from school and I had a shitty day, I'm not even like, she's not even there. She's sitting right next to me, but she ain't fucking there. You know what I mean? And all this other weird shit happens. And it's not good. It's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. And by the way, this is not just with trading either. This is with life in general. I mean, if life beats you down in some way, somehow, you're gonna look towards these escapes and these places here where you think they can save you and all this kind of stuff. But in reality, yeah, okay, as long as you know mentally, like, okay, I just need an escape for a little bit and then I'll come the fuck back. The problem is, though, you continue to do that, and it develops the habits. It develops the habits. And when you get the habits, that's when you continue to dive into that fucking hole. And you just continue to dig. You just continue to dig. And there really is no bottom to it. And the shitty part is that you take other people with you. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get real serious here for a second. Like, it's going to affect your life. Fuck trading, you know what I'm saying? Forget about your account. Like, you're gonna destroy your account. You're gonna destroy somebody else's account. You're gonna pull other people down with you. And that's probably the worst part, because when you come back, it makes it that harder to come back. Right? If you're pulling all these other people down with you, it makes it that harder to come back, because now you have to deal with the added pressure of their bullshit, of whoever else's bullshit that you pulled in with you. And that's not a place that you want to just put yourself in. But realize, like, that is a risk. That is a huge risk, that if you end up in this place, things can get real ugly, and just coming back, it's very difficult. And remember, like, if you have to keep coming back and keep coming back, imagine all the work you have to do just to climb out of this place that you put yourself in. Like, Charlie knows, like, I beat the fuck out of myself when I'm not doing well, or when things are not going good, or whatever. And it takes me a while to get back up. Sometimes it takes a couple of years, really. Sometimes it takes a couple of years. And other people, it might take a whole fucking lifetime, because they're not self-aware and they have no idea, like, this is what they're doing to other people. This is what they're doing to themselves. And they'll just dive down this place, and you'll never hear from them again. You'll never hear from them again. Yeah. It's a touchy thing,
I mean, and it all kind of originates from the expectations that you're originally coming to with your trading, right? I mean, if you, like, those days when you have losses, if you, in an ideal world, that you could just sort of wipe that mental slate clean, and you just, your expectation is just to follow your do what you need to do in order to make money, or whatever the market's going to dictate to you. If you lose money a couple days in a row, fine. Like, if you have zero expectations for your trading, objectively you lost money, fine, right? But it's when you have those expectations of, making certain amounts and being a certain kind of person, like, often I think looking to the market to take away a certain kind of pain that you're feeling, right? Like an insecurity or lack of self-worth, or whatever it is. Like, I expect, what I need from the market is, if I'm successful in these ways, this kind of pain will go away. And we can speak to this better than anybody, because we've met hundreds of traders who are really, really fucking successful people who are miserable, right? And then we've met people who are, that pain does not go away, right? Just because you hit a certain success marker in the market, And there's plenty of guys who are grinding out $100 days, and they're doing fucking great psychologically, right?
Yeah. That's weird. That's always a weird thing for me, bro. That's always weird for me it's always weird to watch somebody else who is successful as a trader. It's always weird to see how he does it, because it's always a completely different mental state. It's always a completely different program, a completely different mission, a completely different everything. Like, my goal, like for this recent trade here, this Microsoft thing, is to take close to max size as possible. Even extra leverage that I don't even fucking have, but that's how confident I get, and make as much as I possibly can off these particular moves. And that is so corollary to somebody like a Silver fan, or somebody like other people that we have in the chat room, that they have size accounts. But they'll sit there and snipe it out. And they'll see the same gains at some point that I'm seeing. And it's just a completely different way of going about it. I'm always so intrigued, like, especially guys who are comfortable where they are, they're happy, they seem to be enjoying their lives and everything. It's always interesting to see how they did it. Like, I've slowly taken pieces from all of these guys and been like, oh, okay, that's what I need to add to my equation. So now, like, for me, it's no longer about trading. I know I can make money. Like, I don't have any fucking problems there. It's really about, like, the quality of life now. The how do I make sure that the environment is proper, and those are the things that I'm thinking about. And how do I make sure I build for the future, so that when I do have another drawdown, which is going to fucking happen, how do I protect myself from ending up in the same goddamn pit hole I can't climb out of for the next 2 years? Like, that's the shit that I'm like, okay, let's build the right environment here, so that even if worst case scenario happens, which it does, and it always fucking does, it'll always come back at some point, let's make sure I have all this stuff so that I don't feel like a complete piece of shit when it does happen. And it becomes so debilitating and I can't come back from it. So I'll now take little pieces from all these other guys that I'm seeing, like, oh, okay, maybe I'll add this, maybe I'll try this, that, or this makes sense, that makes sense. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, which is by the way a much better place. Like, I'm honestly happier than I was, like, in New York. New York was stressful as fuck.
Living with me, you're happy to come on, man. What are you talking about?
New York was fun, but again, like, there was so much stress, there was so much going on, like, you couldn't even hang on to it before it either disappeared or blossomed into something that you wouldn't even imagine.
And that hits on one of the things that you and I talk about all the time, and we're talking about sort of practical ways to sort of generate a sense of, like, this self-awareness, and how do you realize the expectations you bring to the table and how much they're screwing you up and where they're coming from. You write a good bit sometimes when you're, depending on where you're at in your trading. You do a lot of journaling, a lot of writing, right?
Yeah, dude, and like, but my bad to cut you off. Like, I have now, like, spent years building the right automation for this writing strategy, which I know in my head, like, it's such a clean strategy. It makes clean money, and it's very low risk, and it's very easy to move around in this stuff. I've spent years now on coding and all that kind of stuff because again, just because of that dedication and just because of that one idea that I was just like, dude, I have to freaking spend time on this because this is going to save me time in the future. This is going to save me time, stress, all this kind of stuff in the future. I cut you off, but that's where I'm at with that one.
You know, but that's what I said. When I'm talking about writing, I'm talking about like writing, like journaling, you know, not writing.
Okay.
And one of the things that, because when you go back to this New York City example you were talking about, when you're in New York City, you walk around and you start telling yourself stories about every single guy you see on the street.
Yeah.
And so you see some guy who's like smooth, you know, and he's got this ridiculous suit on and perfect weather. Like I walked by last night, I saw a matte black Maybach parked outside this restaurant. Like, that is like a $350,000, $400,000 car, and that's pretty much everywhere in New York, right? It's the same thing with Instagram. It's the same shit. It's just selectively showing you these images and this concept, create these expectations for yourself of I need to be certain, I need to be like this, right? And one of the ways I've talked about mitigating this, and I've talked about this with other traders a lot too, just simple exercise that you can do, like when you start out either at the end of the day or in the morning, you're just write out like, what are my expectations for this day, right? And if it's, you know, your what you want to focus on, that's good, that's great. Focus on, you know, what names you're gonna be watching, how you're gonna be watching, and the types of setups you're gonna be looking for. But then if you're also thinking about, you know, your P&L, or if it's outcome, right, that you're thinking about, your expectations, just ask yourself the question why 3 times. Just why, right? And if you dig in a little bit, like if you ask yourself why 3 times in a row, you will get to the bottom of things. Like the reason you're actually expecting to make a certain amount of money today is because last night at 2 a.m. you were scrolling through Instagram and you saw some jackass putting some kind of image up there, and you're just like, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to be. And that's just like that simple exercise of self-awareness can stop you from just getting your ass kicked, you know, every day, and just being driven by your emotions rather than letting the markets dictate what you should be doing.
I'm like smiling and laughing right now because I'm partly ashamed. Like, and you guys aren't saying anything right now, but you should all be fucking talking right now because I know all of you look outward. If you're in this chat room, like, or if you're in this webinar right now, you're all in chat rooms, you're all on Twitter, you're all on this stuff, and you all look to something to gauge where your success should be or what your life should be like or whatever. And just like Charlie was saying, like, you'll look at these pictures and that's all you're fucking looking at. You're looking at a motherfucking picture. You have no backstory. You don't know this fucking person. You don't know a story. You haven't read a fucking book on anything. You haven't read shit. All you did was look at a fucking picture of somebody that was doing something. Would have been complete bullshit anyway. But you look at this thing and like, okay, yeah, you know, that's what my life should be like. Like, this is where I should be. And then you start being like, yo, I deserve that. This guy's a chump. I'm smarter than this fucking guy, or I'm smarter than this girl. Then, you know, how come I'm not where I'm at? How come I'm not over here? How come I'm not here? You know, what am I doing wrong? And you start to do that so much. I do. And again, I was laughing because shit, I was doing that all the time, man. Like you compare yourself to other people, and not to say that there's something wrong particularly with that. You have to compare. You have to compare to something, right? You have to believe that you can do something, right? And in order to believe that you can, you have to see it first. So however you need to see it, whether it's through, you know, Twitter, or whether it's through some other program, or whatever it's, you know, whatever it is that you want to believe. But once you believe in that something, then comes the work. It's not like, you know, all of a sudden you see a picture of, you know, some kind of a chart pattern, like, okay, this works every time. Like, no, motherfucker, it does not work every time. And it doesn't work like that. You know, you have to sit there and work it. You know, it hasn't happened yet. Whatever you see in these pictures or whatever you're comparing yourself to, it hasn't fucking happened yet for you. So you have to work it. You have to do shit. And we tend to forget that stuff. I tend to forget it, you know, because let's say I'm on some successful period in my life, right? And I'm hitting goals and all this kind of stuff. Then it no longer becomes about that. Then it becomes about something else. Okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And, you know, then you get overwhelmed. Then I know me, I know myself, like I just get overwhelmed. And then And then I start taking all of that to the market to solve those issues. And that's where the biggest mistakes and the most, the worst decisions are made. And then it's just a cascade effect into the rest of your life. And it's a strange thing, man. It really is a strange thing. It's like if you choose this for a career, this is what's sitting there ahead of you, or this is what's holding you back. And if you don't think about this shit, the next wham the next wave here is coming, right around the corner. You can either be a part of it or you can just fight the shit out of it. And if you keep fighting these things, eventually you're not going to have enough gas in the tank here to continue. It's just not fucking possible. And this is why so many people have such an issue of turning that corner and becoming a trader that can make money and can change their lives, and that's what we're all doing here,
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, MJ, she's obviously regular steam room in here, and she says, if you guys separate yourself from material things, it might make your life a little easier. Half serious, like obviously everyone is coming to trading here to make, right? But I know for you, I've had plenty of conversations with you, knowing that like the days where you walk away with, some of the most satisfaction it is not correlated necessarily with your P&L. I've seen you make six-figure trades and you actually felt like shit afterwards.
Yeah, like, I felt like shit. Yeah.
I've seen you have days where you lost money and you were like, you know what? I actually executed as good as I could execute today. And so I feel pretty fucking good, and like I could see your psychological momentum continue in that regard, right? And so not on your P&L or whatever, but you're focused on like, this is what I need to do in order to make money. This is like, obviously there's a lot of depth to this topic, and this is the kind of stuff that we'll plug the master course here. We got the next one starting up on June 25th. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. We're running a special leading up to June 25th. We've got $1,000 off the master course. It's usually $3,500. We'll bring it down to $2,500 for a couple more people who are coming in. I think we're doing 10 total, right, Lucci? We've got 4 people who are taking up those spots. We got 6 left. So I'll drop a link in the chat. Lucci, if you want to bring up the course on the screen real quick, show these guys kind of the run through of what's in there. You can do that, and then psychology is one of the things that I think really separates us. That's one of the things that we do best. Lucci is, he's a master of this. We've been through, as you guys can see, he's been through the ringer. He's gotten his ass beat every single way you can imagine when it comes to the psychological side of this game, and he's lived to tell the tale. And that's part of what the master course is all about. Him taking his the lessons that he's learned and passing on to you guys as much as possible, and then some skill sets that you need in order to keep this stuff manageable. And then beyond that, obviously tape reading options. This is the stuff that really distinguishes us. You were talking about writing earlier, Lucci. Your writing strategy, which is great going into the summer months. I don't know if there's anything else you want to hit on in terms of what we've done in the course, but plenty of
yeah. I mean, you got, again, like there's a lot. I change a lot. I take everything that I've acquired over the years, and I just shove the shit down your throat, basically, in my very no bullshit kind of way. I get a little aggressive in there, so definitely be prepared for a much more aggressive teacher. But I love folks that are hungry for, the information and hungry to make the changes and everything. There's a lot of guys in here, even in this webinar here too, that I've taught, and they've blossomed to become, some really, really dope traders that I also now share ideas with very often, and I share life stories with them, and they help me as well. So it really is like a community kind of thing where we're just trying to grow out here. We're just trying to do shit better than we did before, and that's all I'm about right now. That's it, man.
Yeah, man. There's no, I think one of the things that distinguishes us and distinguishes you, as an educator in this space is that there's no sugarcoating. There's no bullshit. And there's no get rich quick scheme out there. Jedi says, I'm the unicorn that has become the mighty oak, thanks to Lucci. Guys, like there's some pretty fucking amazing stories of people that have just really taking control of their trading as a result of going through the course. It's something that we've it's a culmination of you know, like you said, we started this in 2006, so 10 years of more than that, 12 years of you know, of work building up into to all the curriculum
Yeah.
that's in there.
Yeah. Maturity is a motherfucker, man. I mean, you guys are getting a person who has made the same mistakes over and over and over and is finally getting to a place where I have some kind of handle and some kind of control over these things. You know what I mean? I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult. It really is to. And I want to say it's difficult to just watch the progression and to be aware of that progression and be aware of what's coming down the pipeline and be aware of what's coming before it hits you. But again, like that's not really what life is about, right? I mean, you get in there, you try to do the best you can, and you slowly learn from the mistakes that you make. So you're getting like a Lucci fucking 6.0 at this point, man. Shit, I've come back so many times. I can't even count at this point, you know. So it's a fun time too. It's a fun time too. That's another thing I will say. It's not some shit where you know you're bored as fuck in the class or whatever. Like you're in there working. You're in there working. Your brain is moving, and you'll be eager to get to the market so you can practice some of the shit that's being thrown at you.
Right. Yeah. Questions on this or you know anything you know drop in the chat right now. MJ made another good point here. You know, I've read so much trading psychology, but the only thing that helps is making the same mistake over and over until I get so sick of it I change. That is the real way that people change is through getting tired, through getting exhausted, right? You're just tired of doing the same thing over and over. And when you write, going back to that exercise I was talking about, when you journal about this stuff, when you write about it, it forces you to become aware of it. But it also leaves this track record. When you start reading through the stuff that you've written and you see the same thing over and over, you're like, God, I've been making the same mistake over and over again. So it like increases that sense of fatigue, you know, with your own that exhaustion. And that's actually that's part of where it comes from.
Yo, the shittiest thing about it is that when you look back at it, you think you could have avoided it. Everybody wants to say that, yo, had I known this shit, I would have been here. You know, how many times have you guys said that? And how many times you, Charlie, have said that? Like, had we have known this shit, you know, 5 years ago or 6 fucking years ago or 10 fucking years ago, where would you be? You know, like I wake up, like most people wake up every fucking day and you find some real world example where you look at like, oh, this dude just bought a fucking condo right here. Had I have known 5 years ago, I'd have been saving for the same shit. Like it doesn't fucking work like that. Like you have to you got to look at the game as such, you know, and these things are going to happen. You're going to make these mistakes. You were meant to make that money when you were ready to see what you need to see, you know, and again, like I can't, this information that we'll sit there and throw at you, and in reality, you ain't gonna do shit with it unless you're ready to put in the work, unless you're ready to put in that effort. You know what I'm saying? So again, like it's all a process, and you have to enjoy the process. This is that whole Tom Brady shit, which I have no fucking clue. How does a man enjoy so much repetition? How do you enjoy eating the same shit every day? How do you enjoy doing the same 2-hour freaking workout every single day? How do you enjoy going to bed at 8 o'clock every single day? In reality, if you want the performance, if you want what he's got, if you want that shit, you can get it. But this is what you have to do. This is what you have to sacrifice. And again, I'm not talking about some crazy plan here where you have to do this shit every day. I ain't talking about that. But in reality, it's the same kind of discipline. It's the same kind of discipline. It's how you have to approach some of the things that you really want that are not easily obtainable. And again, you can go on Instagram and look at fucking pictures all you want. But in reality, that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be looking at Instagram all fucking day and looking at other people doing shit while you're sitting there doing what exactly?
Right. And I mean, you go like talking about Tom Brady. You and I talk about tennis all the time, guys like Roger Federer, right? I mean, the obsession that they get with the process, the satisfaction they start to get, and these hits of dopamine they get from getting that much incrementally better at executing on their own thing, and they force themselves in many ways during that obsession with the process from the result, because the result that they're actually looking for is an improvement in their own process, right?
Dude, and my bad to cut you off. Like this recent trade that I just had, this Microsoft, it's me again from 2000, 14 or something like that. Now I feel it coming back, and I'm like, holy shit, here's Lucci again. You know what I'm saying? And now the next time I see the same thing, it's gonna be something different. You know what I mean? I'm ready for that. I'm ready, and it feels amazing. It feels fucking amazing to be here in Puerto Rico buying property on the backs of some shit that I spent some time on. I did the work, and this is the product of it. This is now the product of it. It feels fucking amazing. So how do you keep yourself on that level without going on Instagram being like, fuck man, I want this fucking Maybach. I want this matte black fucking Maybach right here. What do I have to do in the market tomorrow? Do I have to go all in on some fucking Amazon call, some Friday weeklies here and try to make $1 million? Like, the shit is a process. You have to think rationally and within your wheelhouse. You know what I mean? So, 100%, man, 100%.
We got a couple of really good questions in here.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity going on here, so we should probably take some questions here.
Yeah, and we should wrap pretty soon too. We don't want to keep you guys for too long here, but real quick, how long is the class? The live class. So the classes are 3 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights for 4 weeks. So 12 total live classes. They're usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. And then there's 4 live tape reading sessions that are each about an hour to an hour and a half during market hours that you get to sit in with Lucci. We've got, Steven says, do you start out with a dummy account when trading for the first time?
So when I started trading at a proprietary trading firm. These places don't exist anymore, except for like the big shops. The big shops have eaten up all the small ones. So you get like T3 Live, and then you get like S&B Capital. Those are the 2 big ones in New York. I think there's one Bright or something like that out in LA. You'll start on a demo account. They'll put you on a demo account, but don't be on a demo account. I would say do not do a demo account, because it gives you data that is not fucking real. Demo account data is not real. There is no trade that is worth anything unless it takes into account emotions. And unfortunately, you can't quantify emotions. So that's why most of you guys are fucking around on these stupid demo accounts and then bringing shit to me like, yo, I made 100,000 on my demo account. Like, motherfucker, shut up. All right, shut up. Go back and do that with a real account, and then talk to me a year later, And then the second they start trading for real, you can't make a damn thing. Okay. So what I'm saying is that start off small with small amount, small real size, let's say it's $1,000 or $2,000 or something like that. And then just trade real small until you get used to things, but the demo account, any data that you bring to me on a fucking demo account means jack shit.
I mean, if you've never traded at all before, you just don't even know your way around the platform. Yeah, maybe start with like a week, but
something like that. Definitely.
We do see people who fall in the hole of, they stick to the demo account and then they're on it for like 6 months and they kind of can't get out of that world into the actual live account, live trading, and you just don't want to be there. So if you're going to do a demo, set a deadline, for when you're getting off that, and make it short. Cheryl's got some hilarious commentary in here. Guys, if you've got some questions, keep them coming. How long does it take? Confident in trading, years preferably. That's from Simon.
What was the question?
How long is it taking for you to be confident in trading?
It took me a year and a half. It took me a year and a half to be confident. Like, I was confident. Remember, guys, it's, and we can go to belief here and all this kind of stuff, but you have to believe. You have to believe. At some point, you have to believe in yourself. And the only way that you're going to be able to get there is by, again, proving to yourself that you can you can put in the work and you can put in the effort. And then once you start doing that, then it's now controlling your emotions. And I'm just talking about trading here specifically. Like, you're going to get the technicals down and the specifics down. You're going to have confidence there, but then you need the confidence on making the trade and making the right decisions while you're in the trade. And that takes a good amount of time to be able to do. It took me a year. It took me a year and a half to be able to do this. And then I had the confidence. And then once I realized, like, oh shit, you know, I can really do some work here, I left the prop firm that I was at. I took my father's money, I took all of my money, and then I went fucking nuts with it because I had the tunnel vision. I was like, all right, I know what I'm doing here, and then this is where I'm going. The only problem was I never had a plan of what to do with the money when I fucking made it. That's where I fucked up. You know, but again, that's where you get the confidence next. Now I have the confidence that I will do the right thing when $200,000 is dropped in my fucking lap, which I didn't have before. I didn't even know I needed to have it until you lose that money. And then when you lose that money or do dumb things with it or whatever, and you got nothing to show for it, then you're finding solutions. So the game is really all about finding solutions to these issues that you're having, but you need the confidence in yourself to believe that, okay, I can find a solution, I can work on this, and I can get better. If you don't have that confidence, like that's what you need to build, you know. But you have to do it through like small wins, you know. It's all about small wins, and that's it, you know. I tell this shit to my daughter all the time. I mean, she's 14, and the same principle comes up. It's like, yo, if I knew this, I would be here. So I'm looking at her and being like, fuck, girl, like, you need all this shit, and you need to have it so that when you're 25, you're gonna be a motherfucking monster. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? She's got to go through whatever she has to go through, and she's going to be ready for the information whenever she's ready for it. You know, so the same thing goes with you guys. You have to believe in yourself. And then to get that confidence, you got to just be in there. You got to be in there every single day. You have to be there. You got to be watching every single day. And then sooner or later, you'll start picking little things up about yourself, about the market, piece it together. All of a sudden, you got a strategy, and boom, you know, you in there.
I mean, and the confidence for you from having a sense of edge, right? From having a sense of like learning the tape, learning how to actually like have the skill sets that you were like, okay, I can see myself improving incrementally in terms of getting better at this stuff. And you knew that you had something that you could rely on to draw from, you know, in order to make more money with this stuff. Perry's asking, what software do you use for tape reading?
What software do I use for tapering? I just use Fidelity. I mean, I just use Fidelity for the time and sales and for all that. But I get I got like 3 different platforms. I have a direct market access platform, so I'll get Sterling too for level 2s and things like that. But Fidelity is just clean. It's a little bit delayed, but it's just clean. You know, it's not. There's no bells and whistles on Fidelity. So I use Fidelity for data and charts and stuff. Because again, like I don't need any of that shit. Just give me a time and sales on a level 2, and I'll make some fucking money. I don't need all the bells and whistles and all the probability stats of this and that. All that is bullshit to me. So again, I just need a clean platform that hasn't been tainted by millennials, bro. Fucking millennials, bro. Even though I am considered one, like.
Yeah, people are millennials, but yeah, we're talking about like, the other millennials. Yeah.
Oh, whatever, man. They're coming for your They're coming for your platform too, by the way. And I haven't used Robinhood though, but I hear good things about Robinhood. I do hear good things about it.
Right. All right, guys, we'll make this the last question before we go. But again, all this is like the tip of the iceberg here. So, like I said, I dropped the link for $1,000 off of the master course, sanlucci.com/MC1000. Definitely hope to see you guys join us starting June 25th. That's the next live session. You get access to all the recorded materials too. So the people who got in on this deal last week, they're already going through all the recorded materials right now, so they can hit the ground running when the class starts on June 25th. Last question here from Simon. Is your writing option strategy catching premium on strangles, or is it a system that's biased long or short? Very interested in the strategy. I mean, this is something that you take hours in the course to talk about. So
yeah. I mean, you're gonna get this in the course and everything, but my writing strategy is there's strangles. Yeah, catching premium on the wings. That's it. On the wings. If you know what that means, you know, you already got it. So yeah, I'm just shaving some easy premium. That's basically it. And I'm just trying to rack that shit up and not do that much work. Like I don't eventually like I don't want to have to sit there every fucking day with you guys and sit there and try to look at Tesla and try to get 5 points on a five. I don't want to do this shit anymore. I don't. In reality, like I want to chase after other things. Charlie is the same way as well. There's stuff that I want to build as far as trading goes, as far as like trading tools and like technology. There's stuff that I want to do there. But then more importantly, like I want knowledge. Like, you know, I'm after other shit. Like, I would sit in a library literally for 3 fucking months and do nothing but read. Like, I want shit like that. You know what I mean? I want stuff that I can't get sitting there reading fucking tape and just, you know what I mean? I want to be disconnected to fucking everything and just walk around and just figure out what the next, you know, level is going to be. You know what I mean? So once I figure that part out, you know, the next version of saying Lucci here or myself is just going to be completely different. You know, it might not even be trading related. It might be something completely fucking different, you know, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to setting up the life where I can chase after those things. You know what I mean? That's what I want.
I mean, you're in the yard right now. You know, you got a quite the view sitting where you're at. So I think you're getting close.
Yeah, I'm getting close, man. I'm getting close. Doesn't look too sad.
Guys, thanks for joining us. If you guys have any questions on anything here, we're gonna post a recording to YouTube. Obviously, Charlie at sayinglucci.com. Feel free to shoot me an email, anything course related. And you know, hope to see you guys in the steam room, and hope to see you join us in the course. We gotta dig a lot deeper into this kind of stuff and a whole lot more. So, thank you for joining us.
Wait up.